Hey, what's up, guys? It's Brian, and we are back. Oh, I'm excited. This is something I didn't even know existed, guys. We talk about passions, we talk about business, we talk about psychics, we talk about the future, we talk about a whole bunch of different stuff, guys. We're just gonna mash it all together right now. We're just gonna go a big banana split of goodness, guys. Please give it up for my good friend, the mighty and powerful Colleen, the intuitive business coach. How are you?
I'm a freaking fabulous. How are you? Oh, am I allowed to swear on this
Oh
podcast in
yeah,
this
yeah, just
live
yeah,
stream?
yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah,
I'm
yeah. We
not
smoke.
like,
Yeah, it's a kind of a cannabis-based community, so yeah, do whatever you want.
oh
We're
my God. Okay, this is
yeah,
my jam. We're in
yeah, yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. We're a part of that. It's called the Daily Dank. We do a bunch of different weed stuff. Yeah, check it out sometime. You might have fun. We do a bunch of different
Yeah.
weed shows and a lot of reviews and just hangouts and stuff. Great community. Hey, big shout out to the Daily Dank community, guys. I know you're listening because you're the
Love
only
it.
ones who listen. Yeah, so
You want to listen? I know.
so I know
I
they're
love
out
it.
there, Mom. I know you're out there, Mom.
I love when
uh,
moms listen to the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's funny because she says she does, but then I'm like, she never mentions anything I talk about on the show or anything like that. So I'm like, maybe not, Mom. Um,
Yeah, I love
Real
it.
quick, not to put it on me. I just want the funny story about my mom. I'm a filmmaker. I went to film school and I got into it later in life. But I had a premiere. My first movie at a big film festival, red carpet. It was a whole big thing. And my mom comes to me after the movie and she says, that was better than I thought it was going to be. And I was like, well, I guess for mom, that's the ultimate compliment, right? Like,
Right.
yeah,
I thought it would suck and I'd have to be like, good job, son, but it didn't.
yeah, it was mediocre. You get a pass, yeah.
I love it.
So tell us about how did you get into this? How did this all come together?
Mm.
Obviously, it's a passion you have, or you wouldn't dedicate all this time and energy. How did it all kind of come to fruition, if that's the correct
Yeah. So
terminology?
like the soul mission activator title label even is like a potency in the spiritual community. So for those of you guys in the cannabis community too, I'll take you on a trip while we go
Nice.
through this
All right.
experience and
All
talking about
right.
this
Here we go.
conversation. So like you said, business coach, really rooted in business. 14 years ago, I started entrepreneurship and growth strategies, process development, all the juicy logistical pragmatic work. And alongside that same time, I got my first spiritual mentor. So, like, literally, I was running two highways at the same time, never, ever imagining they were ever intercross. And, taking all the courses in spiritual development, doing all the things, mediumship, animal communication, automatic writing, past life regression, Akashic, all of the juicy stuff, doing all the things. And it was in 2020 that universe or divine literally stopped me dead in my tracks and was like, are you finally ready to like own what you're actually supposed to do in the world? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I've been a business coach, and I was like a closet spiritual person. Like, if you didn't know me, you wouldn't know that I did all these crazy things and astral traveled and did all this stuff. And because I only talked about it in a really tight-knit community. And I was told at the time that I needed to start embracing this spiritual soul mission work and helping entrepreneurs really align in what they're actually meant to do in the world and serve through that light. And then over the years, it just expanded to like acceleration of light, to activation of spiritual gifts. And now I play more so in the spiritual world, like astro traveling and channeling and the psychic side to all of it too. And just, yeah, it's been a really big trip. Like, I'm like on an acid trip every day. Like, I play like in a video game in
Nice.
my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So good.
awesome. That's the only way to live. Come on.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
so
got to
fun.
ask you, you kind of said it came to you in 2020. Did
Mhm.
COVID have anything to do with that? Like maybe you were kind of locked up and you kind of maybe it spoke to you a little more than if you were out in the big world, or did that have anything to do, or the whole state of the world, I guess?
Yeah. Well, and just like everybody, like everyone was at a hard stop. Like all my clients had to close down their businesses. I was working very much in pragmatic world. Like I wasn't doing a lot of online work. Like, yeah, here and there I'd post some stuff, but it wasn't ever the way I show up online now. And I went through the first few months, like a lot of people I know, drank every day, smoked a lot of weed, sat on my couch, watched a lot of Netflix. And then around in May, I was like, okay, you need to start getting your shit together. Like, like step into the space. And I created a Pivot Your Business Now program to get everybody online. Nobody bought it. And then I kept trying to like figure out like what the fuck is going on, like something's happening right here. Like what the hell's going on? And it took me a little while to come around, a couple more months, and I finally dropped in and was listening. And yeah, I really feel like, COVID gave us an opportunity to quiet our mind if we actually saw it that way. Some of us were challenged and stressed out. And, like I did I'm partying every day because I can, and like I had no obligations anywhere. And it was interesting to feel into that and then finally surrender in. And I said to the universe, okay, in January 2021, I'll launch it. Like I'm having this conversation in my mind, right?
Is that around the same time that you started wearing pants again?
Yeah.
Like, January.
I live in Costa Rica now. So I was in Canada at the time and I moved here in October of this past year. And I like barely wear pants, any longer. Nice. And even now I'm in shorts. Like I'm in my like pajama shorts talking to you guys here,
Yeah. I had a mission throughout the whole winter before summer that I wasn't going to wear real pants the entire like that winter season. I was only going to wear sweats. I even went and bought designer sweats so it would be okay.
That's okay. Hilarious. Yeah. I love it. But yeah, so January 2021 was when I put the like deadline on the universe. I was like, fine, I will step into this and start to work in this. And like I was Akashic record trained. And for most people that don't know that, it's like the filing cabinet to your soul, we'll say. So I can tap in to find out your past lives, your future lives, your soul mission, blocks in your energy field, if you have curses and spells and like all those things from the Akashic records. And I was using it here and there with people that I knew, but I wasn't ever using it for things, and so I got the hit that I needed to combine that with the business coaching side and drop into their unique blueprint and strategies through that and really align them in their soul's path. And it was November of 2020 that I started getting calls from people. Hey, so I got referred to you. I heard that you do this kind of work, like helping me get in alignment with my purpose and then helping me build a business. And I was like, did the universe text you? Like, who did you hear this from? Because I hadn't said it to anybody. Like, I was like, somebody's out there marketing me in this way and knowing that it's dropping. Yeah. And then I literally started getting calls. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing this work. And literally that's kind of how it started.
Wow. I got I have this weird thing where I put up little sticky notes every time I have a question so I can remember to go back. I have a bad habit of interrupting people, so I've kind of devised the system. So I got like a million sticky notes here going on. All right. So see if I can remember, because I don't actually put anything on them. I just like, there's a question that you need to remember. So, okay. The first one I know is Astro Projection. Oh, no, wait a minute. Because that's the one I can remember. Let's go back to the cachet. I'm so interested in this. Like when you said that, you're like cursing. I'm like, wait a minute. It's like, so you can like open up a file cabinet and be like, is that kind of like the general, like the layman's term kind of?
Yeah, that's how I describe it. So like each person can access their own records by setting an intention, dropping into a meditative state and going in, or practitioners that are trained in it can with permission. Obviously we can't get into any records without permission from the soul. So like you would have to say to me, I give you permission to access my records. Plus I hold integrity. So like I wouldn't want to go fiddle, because you could fuck something up if you go in there, you bring in some entities with you, you could go fucking blow some shit up for people. And that's a real thing. Right. So it's like, I describe it that way because it tracks it all. So like we could open up your records, Brian, and go, okay, what's your mission here on earth? Where can you accelerate it through? What is the main learning that you're here to do? And all the other cool questions that you want to ask. And literally we can go and get all the answers.
Yeah, we're gonna book an appointment, definitely, because you're like speaking my language. So like I've always I have a hard time with hallucinates. Like I have a gastric bypass, so if I do mushrooms, it's like it's just it doesn't process right. Like I'm just on the ground sweating. It's pretty much what happens. Like I don't have no revelations. I don't see anything. I'm just sick,
So I just came out of an ayahuasca experience actually like a week ago, like a week and a half ago. I know we can hit that, but okay, wait. Ask the Akashic's question first.
More sticky notes. I'm like just throwing them down here.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so I've always been fascinated, like with the DMT one is the
Mhm.
main one that I've always, because how everyone kind of has a similar ride is like,
Yeah.
I'm like, there's something more to that than it's just like you drop acid and you see a dragon and someone else sees a hippo or whatever, it is like that's just no rhyme or reason. That's just madness. But like if everyone's going into this like chamber and there's a million yous talking to you, like there's
Yeah.
something to that, and I'm really fascinated with that. And the Iowa, so I almost went on well, I think where you're at now, a place. It was like a retreat, and
Uh-huh.
it was affordable, like really affordable. But my
Yeah.
fear was going by myself and coming back and being like, "Hello, my name is," like like you're a completely different guy. Like, have a flower, But
Yeah,
yeah,
seriously.
yeah, so that was kind of putting me on the fence. But tell me about your experience. I
Oh
mean,
my
you're
gosh.
doing it,
Yeah.
so like, yeah, put our rest at ease. We're not going to come back as Hare Krishnas. Is that what they were called? I think so.
Oh my gosh. So I'm in Costa Rica, right? So
Yeah,
ayahuasca here is like the thing.
yeah,
Now, there
that's
is
where it
some
was. Yeah, it was
practitioners.
Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's like the thing. There's so many retreats. You've got to be careful though of your practitioners because like this is really an experience, and I was like a kid naive in a candy store. Like I was the
Yeah.
only one out of 50 people that had never done it. And we were at this place that the tribe from Brazil that actually protects the rainforest, called the Yawana tribe, came up from Brazil for a few days, and they were hosting the ceremony. Okay, so this is like a big deal. And now I
Right.
did research after to find out that like the chief who was there is like super well known of actually creating an infrastructure for the indigenous people in Brazil. His son has like 50,000 followers on Instagram and was just on a stage with Xavier Rudd in England this past week. Like it was like I'm in this room and I have no clue what I'm about to walk into, right? In this room
Yeah.
with these like beautiful souls making marks in humanity, moving it forward, and because I'm the only one that hasn't done it, I got a blessing and a direct communication from the chief's son right off the bat, like coming in. And then I took the first dose. The first dose came to me because I was the first one in. And all the people that I know that have done ayahuasca was like, it was so beautiful. I got to meet Iowa and the jaguar, and I played in the jungle, and it was the most beautiful experience ever. So the first dose, I didn't feel anything. And looking back, I'm like, it was probably teaching me patience. Okay. Like I'm going to own
Yeah.
that. After the second dose, I was in like the depths of hell. Okay. Like I was literally fetal position, wanted to get it out. And I understand the gastro stuff because
Yeah,
like I
me on
literally,
mushrooms. I was just gonna say, yeah, that's me on
yeah.
mushrooms. Yeah.
Well, I had so much gas and I couldn't move. Like I was bloated and I couldn't release. Like it wouldn't come out of me in any way. Like it wouldn't. And part of the whole message for me was about letting go. But I dropped into the depths of like so much darkness, like who I used to be as a person and some of the stuff I did when I thought it was like in love and light. And I was a selfish bitch and like all this stuff. Like I went into the hell. Like literally, I was
Yeah.
crawling in this imagery with black tar on me, like covered as I was crawling out of the depths of hell. Literally, that's what it was. And I was like,
Wow.
what the fuck? Everyone said it was beautiful. They're all playing in the fucking jungle, and here I am down here. And I didn't understand what that meant, but Iowa just kept calling to me. She's like, you need to surrender and you need to stand up and go dance. Because they were playing instruments probably hours, for 5 hours maybe. It was
Wow.
all music, and they took turns, and it was drums and guitars and singing, and like it was like a celebration that they brought you. It was so cool.
That
And when I
is.
finally could get in my body to actually stand, I went into the circle, I stood, and then I finally was able to dance. And then I finally let go, and then I understood. And then I got into the channeling side of the connection. And I get why people say it was beautiful because they're referencing the end part. They don't reference the beginning shit that you have to
Yeah.
go through to get there.
Well, it
Like
sounds like it's kind of your innermost like demons almost.
it
And like
goes to where
who's
you
gonna,
need
hey, let me
to.
tell you about
Yeah.
the time I ran over the guy in Reno and he came up in the depths of hell or whatever, the
Yeah.
story. It's probably stuff you keep to yourself. And were you treated like almost like the baby because it was your first time? Did everyone just like,
Huge.
yeah, I bet you it was like beautiful, like they were,
Yeah.
yeah.
And after we were out of ceremony, people were coming up to me, "Oh my God, like this was probably the best experience you could have been at for your first time. And you should feel really honored. Like you got a blessing directly from the chief's son." Like I'm this naive kid. I have no idea what the hell any of it means. Like
Yeah.
no clue what I walked into. Like didn't do any research. A week before it dropped into my field and something was like, "You need to go." And I went. And the one cool thing about ayahuasca, though, is you can set all the intentions you want about what you want to discover. She goes into where you need her to. And I don't know how the medicine drops into your field that way, but she goes right into the root and finds it and goes, poof, blows it up. And then you deal with it in real time. And it's
Yeah.
so interesting. So
Ooh.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's an experience I really want to have. But like hearing you, I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I want to see some of those, from the past come up. Like, but no, it's got to be like I call it like an emotional unclogging, right? Like all of a sudden,
Huge.
yeah, like your pipes are free again, and all the
Yeah.
real can kind of flow out. That's awesome.
But it like, a lot of people that have had addictions to alcohol or
Yeah,
either other drugs say that ayahuasca is what actually helped them move through all the trauma because
yeah,
it goes right into the root of it and you have to deal with your stuff. The one thing I wish I would have had knowing and understanding is that I would have taken more integration time. Like I popped right back into work. So we're up all night, right? We start at
yeah.
10 p.m. ceremony. We go all night till the sunrise where we close it. So that was Saturday night to Sunday. And then Monday I'm full force into work and I'm like, I could barely even be in my body. Like I was like, I'm leading a program. I'm getting
Yeah.
interviewed on a live summit. I'm trying to like remember what I was supposed to talk about, and I'm just like, holy fuck, like, just crazy. So
Yeah.
next time, because I know there'll be another time, even though in the depths of the darkness, I was like, I'm never doing this again. It's like,
Yeah.
but now I'm like, I know I need to do it again.
Yeah.
I will have more integration time and take some space to be able to hold the capacity of the healing part. But yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. What were kind of your like what were you thinking when you went in there? Like what were you did you just have no expectations? You're just like, hey, whatever happens, happens and we'll party down and I'll head back to work on Monday. We'll be good to go.
Serious. That's what
Yeah.
it's a beautiful experience. You're
Yeah.
gonna go meet the jaguar. Like I wasn't thinking that I was like, yeah, I'll be tired probably. I had no
Yeah.
clue. Like literally when I
Wow.
say that, and I think I'm happy about that because then as humans we put expectations on things and then we also then drop into maybe like, oh, that's going to happen this way or my mom says to me later, I told her after the fact, she's like, now the devil's in you and da, 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 I'm praying for you. And I was like, Mom, you need to get over this, okay? Like I'm 42
Yeah.
years old, okay? You just need to start trusting me that the decisions I make in life are aligned, okay? Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. And you bring up a good point on that. Like I'm Mr. Fight the universe, fight the flow. Like that's just I have my
Mm,
DNA and I'm trying to like break that habit. And when I finally do, you realize, okay, I'm right where I need to be, no matter like it was bumpy 5 minutes ago, but
yeah,
okay. And then when you do realize that, and then it's so stupid, you still end up fighting it again like 20 minutes
yeah.
later, even though you just realized you had that moment. But yeah, man, if you just flow, the universe puts you where you need to be, and you just kind of need to trust it.
It's
And yeah,
huge. Yeah,
yeah,
I live my whole life like this, Brian. Like my whole life. I
nice.
wake up and go, where do I need to be right now? Now, I've obviously built an infrastructure like in my life for my business that I can do that. I still hold commitments. People use calendar links, all that kind of stuff and
Uh,
move that through, but it's a different energy inside of the space of like, so I know, and even I obviously still have challenges. I'm a human in this experience, going through my own shit, dealing with it,
yeah,
but it makes it easier to hold because you understand, okay, why is this showing up now? And you can drop into it a bit more
yeah.
easier, let's say. Yeah.
Yeah, well, knowledge is king, right? When you
Yeah.
know about something, you can address it. You know what?
Hmm.
When you said that, I just pictured forget what Harry Potter it was. It's the one where he drinks the potion. And he's like, I just need to be where I need to be, and like he's just wandering around. It's like the good luck potion or whatever, and he ends up
Yes.
at Hagrid. Yeah, yeah. That's
Yes.
when you said that. Totally what I thought of. And like, hey,
I
I'm
love
just
it.
gonna take it, go with the flow.
Like I love Harry Potter. And there was one time, one year, I was told to go and watch the movies and take notes. I have so many notes from the movies of spiritual like dynamics of looking at it from the eye of actually looking for the lessons in it. It is potently loaded. And like number 5 is like the one I do dislike the most with the cat lady. Like I do
Yeah.
not like her at all.
Yeah.
But that episode, like that movie had so many pages, like
Oh,
so many pages. It's
yeah.
crazy.
It's so interwoven, like the messages. Like there's
Mm.
definitely racism messages in there when she the guy with the horse guy, and she like, you
Yes.
filthy, like, yeah, like that kind of stuff. How dare you talk to me? Like, yeah, there's a lot of undertones in there. Um,
So much.
yeah, the more you watch it as an adult too, like I was always an adult when they came out, so
Yeah, yeah, me
yeah,
too. I know,
yeah,
like,
but I felt like a kid, darn it. But
yeah.
yeah, the more you watch them, like you just see all the messages and all the different, and adolescence, like when you get into the other ones, like the Half Blood Prince, and they're growing up and they're dealing with
Mhm.
love, and they're dealing with crushes and different things. Like, yeah, it's loaded. You're right. It's definitely loaded.
Yeah, it is. It's actually really fun. I love Harry Potter.
Yeah. I gotta have we do two different podcasts, or three actually, but I do one 420 show, which
Yep.
420.
Yeah.
But we do movie Mondays. I'd love to have you on one day and talk Harry Potter and just and kind of
Yes.
break down. Yeah, we'll pick one and just break it down and figure out why Voldemort was such a dick.
Well, I could tell, yeah, we could talk even from a spiritual side. It's the duality within all of us. So we all have a Voldemort in us.
Yeah.
So we could totally go there. I just watched Goblet of Fire over the weekend, actually.
Nah, that's one of my
So,
favorites. That's
oh
one
my
of my
God.
favorite ones.
Yeah, me
I
too.
really like. Is it the Half Blood? It's the one. It's the one where the other professor who kind of led Voldemort astray. They're picking his brain. Which I'm trying to get that memory, and he's telling him
Yeah.
about the whole Horcrux or whatever.
Yeah.
And I really like the way like that aspect, just from like, well, why would you want to kill 7 people or whatever it is? Like, wouldn't one be
Mhm.
bad enough? And you just see like the serial killer, like it was
Yeah.
told like
Yeah.
a Charles Manson, Ted Bundy moment. Oh no, like why would I? But yeah, well, tell me how to kill these people. Like that type of. Yeah, it's so deep. Yeah, we'll get
Oh,
into
it
it
is.
a
Okay.
different
Yeah.
time.
We'll get into that. I'm totally down. Yeah. No, let's
Yeah.
chat.
No, yeah, let's break it down for sure. Another one. I don't know if you're a Saved by the Bell fan. I'm a couple
Mm.
years older for. Why Zach Morris is a psychopath. We could
Oh my
talk about
gosh.
that one. Or sociopath. I read someone had a thesis. Their thesis in
Interesting.
whatever, and it was why Zach Morris is a sociopath, and it was like breaking it down, like he has no consequences. He always burns his
Mm.
friends, but they welcome him back in, and he burns them again, like
I
dresses up
haven't
like
watched
other
it in
people.
forever. I used to love that show, but
A great
like
show, yeah.
it's been so long. I'm like, I'd have to watch it again, but I could totally
Yeah.
riff off about
And
Saved by the
everything he
Bell.
does is like a selfish motivation. Like
Mm.
he dated. Remember, he dated the homeless girl in the mall during like the Christmas season.
Oh
That
my
was like a
God,
big
no.
episode. That was a big episode. But then if you break it down, he's like he only did that for himself. Like because he liked the
Ah.
girl and he wanted, like, so he got her a house and like dad a job, and
Oh
and
my
then you'd
God, I
have.
have to like I'm like, shit, it's been a long time since I watched Saved by the Bell.
I just turned you on to something. Watch out now! All of a
I
sudden you're
know.
gonna be
Oh,
like,
now
yeah.
that's hilarious. I know
Okay.
you go
Oh,
ahead,
go
yeah.
ahead. Sorry. Oh no, go
No,
ahead.
I know you want to hit up astro traveling, so I just want to
That's,
make
yep,
sure I
right
talk
there.
about that.
I got my that was my next note right there. Yeah.
I love that. So what is it? Is that what you
So
want to
I
know?
so I know what astro projection is. I've never actually. I tried to do it a couple times, but I think there might just be that kind of mental block. That
Yeah.
just kind of. I actually twice. The only 2 times I've ever had a block like that was during hypnotherapy, and one was a past life reading that for some
Mhm.
reason he just couldn't get me under, even though he did on other stuff before. But yeah, something about that one. And then astral projection, I just, for whatever reason, but I'm really interested in it. Maybe it's a fear of I
Yeah.
watched too much Sinister or whatever that, what was that movie called, where they get lost in the realm or whatever.
It
Maybe
actually
that's what I'm
can
picturing.
happen. That's
Yes,
actually a truth. And
it's
when
scary.
we astro travel, what happens is a silver cord is attached to our body and our soul. So as we leave our body, the silver cord is attached to us, bringing us back in. Now, a couple things can happen in astral traveling is that a lot of entities are attracted to our silver cord. So we've actually got to protect our silver cord like cloak of invisibility on it so that people can't see it but us, because sometimes people follow the cord into our bodies, into our rooms, and we bring in entities that way. But astral traveling really is about surrendering. And sometimes we may not go to the ethers. We may go to past lives. We may change timelines in astral traveling. Like we can go to other
Really?
dimensions. Yeah.
I
Like you
was
could
thinking
pop
about.
back into that past life. Yeah. Like you could pop back into that past life that's blocking you. Like I do a lot of past life work, especially I'm seeing it now in the energy that we're working within. A lot of the people's stuff they're dealing with now is not even related to this life. It's from past lives that are merging, and we have to go back and heal them in order for the potency of your mission to be activated in this world. So
Wow.
it's a lot of what you can. Technically, if you were to just drop into yourself, go into a meditative state, you can go anywhere. You can go back to past lives. You can go talk to the Syrians on, their planet or in the star there. I call it a planet all the time, but everyone's like, it's a star. I'm like, you know what? It's fucking whatever I want it to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's your universe, right? Come on.
yeah, like you can go out and float around in the dimensions. Like you could actually do any of it. It's all accessible to everybody. It's just a matter of, though, are you playing in the right realms? Are you protecting your energy field? Are you taking specific protocols? Can you get back?
Yeah.
I interviewed someone that the podcast launches next week on my podcast. I have a podcast called Light Warriors Unleashed, and I talk about all different
Awesome.
kinds of stuff, right? Like all different kinds of
Yeah,
things.
I'll throw
And
links to everything down in the description below, guys. So yeah, we'll definitely plug away. I'm sure I'm gonna be checking it out. So
yeah,
yeah.
thank you. But there's this woman that I interviewed, and her name is Aurora, but she's a collective of energy. She says that she's a galactic walk in. So, literally in 2001, the soul left the body and she stepped into the body. So, that soul could be astral traveling still somewhere floating around in the ethers, and she took over the body in human form. So she had never been to Earth ever before, didn't understand eating, currency, breathing, even in the body. And she goes through the whole story on the podcast next week. It drops,
That's
and I'm just
cool.
like, it is. And she took this like rainbow. I can't even remember what the name of it was. Like this rainbow, and she's got a demonstration of it in front of her. She's like, "This is what I took to get to Earth," and I was like, "So it's like her own spaceship." And it's like it
Wow.
was she was so grounded though, like she was so grounded, but it was like the coolest experience to like talk to her and
That
just
does
to
sound.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When does yours drop?
So Fridays are my guest episodes, and then I do a solo episode every week on
Oh, so
Tuesdays.
perfect. So this is going to drop on Tuesday. So then, yeah.
Perfect.
So hey, Friday, guys, he's got a couple days away. Check it out. Definitely, yeah. I'm excited. I'm going to be checking it out. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited about it. I'm going to actually drop this one on our Paranormal Tuesday episode. So it should
Oh my god.
work out
Yeah,
perfect.
that's
Yeah, yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah. It should work
We're
out
talking
really
about
good.
all the right things.
No, I know. As soon as I'm like, this is meant to be. I'm going to New Jersey next week for some business stuff, and so I'm kind of pre-planning all my shows just in case I get too busy. And I'm like, oh, this is Tuesday, perfect,
Yeah.
boom.
I love it. That's awesome. But yeah, so like we do have to be careful when we're astro traveling, and especially if you're like a newbie to it. Like I
Yeah.
have a girlfriend of mine that spends hours a day astro traveling. And sometimes it takes her a long time to get back. Like she just literally like she's hilarious actually. And I even watch her videos sometime and I'm like, she is not even in her body. Like, what the hell is she recording a video right now? Like I just laugh at her,
Like
like
almost like autopilot, like that type of thing. Like the
yes.
body's just wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we got to talk more about that too. I'm super interested. Like everything you're mentioning is like music to my ears. It's all the stuff I want to know about, and it's just that kind of level. I had a reading not too long ago. We did a show about it. It was a past life reading, and it was pretty
Mm,
good. We actually found out the person that they said that I was. It was a boxer,
yeah.
and it was in 19 like 20 something 30s maybe, but it was they had film, and he died in the ring, and we actually got
Mhm.
to watch like his death. He fought a guy way too big for him. It was back when yeah, and the guy, and he died, and I got a little emotional, not at that, but like they were talking about his funeral where his mom went and forgave the guy who killed him in the ring because it wasn't personal, and there was something about the mom that I was just like that
Mm.
was what got me. And then I'm like, okay, well, we'll stop here, guys. And then, but yeah, no, that
Yeah.
yeah. So I definitely believe in that. I
Mm.
would love to do like the astro or the hypnotherapy to like see exactly what different different.
Yeah,
And like
because
you were
well,
saying, I'm
I can.
super. Yeah, I sorry, I don't mean to make it all about me all of a sudden.
No, I wanted to
Uh,
be about you. I was just gonna say to you, like, I can drop people in to go astral travel in a protected space so they could go discover and figure out stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I been dealing with a while, and I'll just open up. Just get your notebook ready.
might
I'll
as
pay
well.
you instead of the therapist this week. I've been dealing with anger issues probably my whole
Hmm.
life. Really addressing them now, though. The last like 2 3 years, like in its face, like what is the core cause of this? Why are certain things, triggers? And that's one thing I really kind of like when you were saying the file cabinet. I'm like. And then
Yeah,
maybe it's something in a past life. Maybe I was an angry man or some kind of tyrant or
yeah.
something.
Well, and it could be like you watch something happen that embedded anger and you it didn't let it go and it's trickled all the way through. Because technically past lives are not happening in the past, they're happening simultaneously right now. So the only place in the whole ethers of the universal dimensions that has time is Earth. Nowhere else has time spans. So although in Earth it says, "Oh, you were in 1923 fighting in a boxing ring in this body," in the dimensions, that's happening still right now. So
Okay.
everything is like on a timeline. So we just have to go to the timeline where that is rooted, go find it, pull the root, bring it up,
Yeah.
clear it, then drop back into this form and figure out, does the human now need to do work around that to move it out? Because sometimes the humans, like, I deal all energy, but the human will still have to do work. So maybe you have the processes that your therapist is teaching you that you still have to integrate. But now the energy is clear, so it's not weighted anymore. You can actually see clearly through it. So does that make
Yeah.
sense? Yeah.
No, that
Yeah.
totally makes sense. Yeah, I call it my toolbox. Like,
Yeah.
okay, what is it? Radical. Like, oh my God, radical acceptance is the worst.
Totally get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what I always describe my life for the longest time is I'm the guy who runs into the wall constantly.
Mm,
Like, it's gonna break sooner or later when I could just walk 2 feet around and just walk
yeah.
around the wall. But it
Yeah.
took me a minute to figure that out. Sometimes.
Oh, I've been saying a lot lately that I used to believe that the more I struggled, the more I should be proud of the struggle. Like I got all the t-shirts and I'd walk out and
Yeah,
going, but let me tell you how hard it was. Right. And now I'm like, fuck the hard. I'm doing everything with grace and ease. Like we're moving through this easily.
yeah.
This is not happening. Like, like, I'm okay. I got all of the t-shirts. They're all on the wall. They're good. They've been honored. I understand. Okay, let's move through.
Yeah, yeah, it's a weird thing when like I don't wouldn't I guess definitely as like a self-destructive phase or that like kind of like
Mm,
yeah it's such a weird phase that you go through. I blame it on movies of the 90s. All the heroes had like that. They were alcoholic and they were like their son died or something. They were trying to come up and be the hero afterwards. So like you see them with their struggle. So I'm like that's just must how you have to live life until you have your moment. You struggle and then but no.
well, and I reference this as well. Like I started learning personal development when I was 23, so like 20 years ago, pretty much. I started reading books, and every story was they slept on the floor in their office. They were so much in debt, they barely had it. So success at the time was you need to go into the depths of this and struggle so hard to get
Yeah.
success. And now I'm like, man, I do everything with ease. I make more money today and I work way less hours than I ever did trying to struggle and fucking force shit to happen. And I'm like, no way, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I totally get it. Like my dream was to be a filmmaker. I got into it like in my 30s. Me and my kids were in a bad car accident where I was working. I couldn't go back. So my dad's like, "Hey, go to school." He didn't
Yeah.
mean film school, but that's where I went.
Not that school.
Yeah. So, but the dream was like to make big motion pictures and be on the studios, and you do all your stuff, and a lot of stress. I mean, man, you're given a
Oh,
lot
I
of
can
time. It's a
imagine.
lot of work, and you don't get there. But what I'm doing now, like it's still my whole thing was when I was a kid, I could escape my childhood
Mm.
traumas or whatever. I grew up next to a movie theater,
Ah, of
movie house,
course.
so I
Yeah.
would go all the time. And
Yeah.
for those 2 hours, I was the hero, I was the villain, or whoever I
Yeah.
wanted to be. So I always wanted to give that to other people. That's why I thought the filmmaking, but by doing the
Mm.
podcast and the shows and the community, it does it like in a better way, I think, because I'm interacting personally, other than just telling stories. I'm thinking in my head. So it all works out. Like you said, the universe puts you where you need to be. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so funny. I I worked at Silver City, and I come from Winnipeg. That's where I grew up and was born. And I was 16 years old, and the first Silver City got built in Winnipeg. And I got a job, and I wanted to be the box office girl because, you're 16 and you're like, I want
Yeah.
to be
Oh
at the
yeah.
box office. Like, this was the job. And they put me in the Taco Bell Pizza Hut to start. And I was like, I don't want to be making tacos. Are you kidding me? Like, and I like, but I surrendered into, eventually I became the box office girl, but eventually I also worked the projection booth. So I got to
Ooh.
actually, I know, thread the
Yeah.
movies, put them in, make sure the timing was right, hit
Yeah.
start. And it was like a really cool experience to hold that capacity. It's cool.
People don't realize what an art form that is. The timing and getting
No.
everything. That's a job. I mean, people are especially trained to do that. Uh,
Yeah. And threading it all. And we used to have one of the guys that would put the trailers onto the movies, but that's a whole, like, they literally connect the
yeah.
film together in the back end of the theaters. Whether that's still pertinent today or not, I don't know. But
Yeah. No,
that
it's
was
all
like 25
digital
years
now.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was cool. It was cool to run it, threading all the film into the projectors. Like, it was like, yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
it
the
was good.
job, right? That's the job to get
Yeah.
when you're that age. I mean, yeah, like, the boys are coming in. You got a young Brian Adams. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a
Yeah.
Canadian guy. One of my favorite shows of all time is Corner Gas. I don't know if you're
Yes.
familiar, but in America, I just don't because I'm not familiar with Canadian culture enough. Like all of a sudden, there'll just be like a random celebrity walking through, and you would
Yeah.
yeah, and I should know who it is, but like I don't. They're like, it's Olympic swimmer, blah blah blah, and you're like, but is it?
Yeah.
Or a guy who was singing one time. I'm like, I
Yes,
should know who
yes.
this is. Yeah, but I don't.
Canadians. Everything for us is about celebrities, like we live in the
Yeah.
hits, like
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, Quarter Gas was great. I was actually watching a show, a new, I forget, the guy from Better Call Saul, his new show, and the lady from Corner Gas is in it. And it took me
mm,
like about an hour to figure out, like, where I know her from somewhere. Where do I know? I'm like, Corner Gas.
corner gas. I love it. Oh my gosh, so many possibilities.
Yeah, no, yeah, I don't even know why. It's just it's such a simple, easy show. It's easy watching. It's fun. Like there's
Yeah,
never once that I leave negative watching that show. It's just like you
yeah,
laugh with a smile and you're like, oh, those guys.
yeah. So true. Yeah, so
Oh,
true.
man. So
So funny.
tell not to like veer off the course, but growing up in Canada, what was that? I
Mhm.
mean, for because we're mainly USers over here. What was that
USers.
like? Because my favorite, I guess, it's a stereotype, but I'm going to say it's not. We do a lot of true crime stuff, and I was doing
Mm.
video footage, and a Canadian gentleman in Winnipeg broke into a donut shop, broke the
Yep.
window, and then I ate some donuts, but then cleaned up the glass and stuff that he broke. He got a broom, cleaned it up, and put it away, and then left. And Canadians are really nice, right? Like even like when you do a crime, like it seems like you guys just, but tough at the same time. It's like you're nice, but you're not. You'll punch someone in the face and be like okay with it real quick. Like, I'm good with that. But like, uh, tell us what it's like growing up in Canada. My
Yeah, well,
stereotypes are off.
Winnipeg's a bit different, like
Yeah,
we like, and the indigenous get a pretty bad rap up in Canada, and especially in Winnipeg. There's a lot of tribes up there that got a bad rap, and some of them deal with alcoholism up there, and
yeah.
it's like they corner all of them for that, and that perspective of things. But like Winnipeg is known as Winterpeg in Canada. Literally, it goes to like minus 40 degrees Celsius,
Oof.
which is fucking cold in Fahrenheit.
Yeah. Oof.
And it is like, but the cool thing about it is you could just put on an extra hoodie and you'll be warm. Like, it's
Yeah.
not a big deal. There's not a lot of humidity up there, but it's pretty low key. You don't know what you grew up in until you leave. And when I moved to Toronto, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I can't even believe I lived there.
Yeah.
Like you just
Yeah.
don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
and even every time I go back, it's like this big, like, weight, like Eeyore comes on me, like the cloud, right? I'm like, I can't. 5 days is max in Winnipeg. I can't handle anymore. Like, it's
Yeah.
just too non-connected for me. Whereas at least Toronto, you go a bit north and you're in a space where you could breathe, right? And in that space. But Winnipeg, or like actually Canada itself, is beautiful in its own landscape for like seasons and experiences and different things. But it's
Another sticky note there. I got another when you brought up the forest thing. I'm like, oh, I got another question to ask you.
yeah, I know. I don't know. It's just kind of like anywhere, really. Like, and it's really hard for me to go back to Canada. Like, so I'm in Costa Rica now, and I've tapped down twice. Like, we have to leave the country every 3 months
Yeah.
until you get permanent residency. You have to tap out in order to keep your visa alive. And I can't handle it. I come back, I need like a week off, like just to try and recalibrate.
Yeah.
But yeah, ask me about the trees.
Yeah. So, real first, do you think that's because of the like the realm? Like, I don't know if that's the right word. The spiritual, like when you go back, is it because all the weight of like the city and like you kind of feel it
Mm.
a little more so than just going back, because you're on a different spiritual, I guess, reading than than the normal Joe.
Yeah, like we can go multiple directions with this. So I live like 9 degrees from the equator. So like I'm in
Oh
the
wow.
purity of
Yeah.
the earth span, right? And
Yeah.
it's sunshine here. Well, like we're in rain season, so we do get some rain right now, but like it's sunny here all the time. And the vibration of the sun is actually healing for the body and for our spirit. Ra, as the god that he was in Egyptian lineage, is super potent god. And like, so it's like it's a whole vibe here. The energy's a vibe. I'm on a like extinguished volcano where I live.
Oh
Like we're in
wow.
a vortex of energy. Like it's all a vibe. But Canada has really dropped in vibration levels with Trudeau as its premier, with the mechanism of bringing in, all of the Chinese like infrastructures that are there. Like the 15-minute cities are almost created in a lot of the provinces. It's dark in Canada.
Yeah.
Like it's dark. And the bill that just got passed so that they could censor all of their social media feeds now starts as into play. So if you're speaking truth or you're a spiritual entrepreneur like I am, most of my content is not getting into Canada. It's not. Like it's just because they won't allow them to see anything about enlightenment. So
That's
it
so
like that's what's
crazy.
happening. I
Yeah.
know. I
I
know.
mean, we're talking Canada. We're not talking a country, a third world, fourth world country somewhere that's ruled by a dictator, that
Mhm.
they could just flip a switch and be like, no internet. We're talking Canada. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's so scary,
So
like the
remember though, when
direction.
dark comes in and people accelerate the dark, then the dark starts to play. And it doesn't mean it will stay this way. There's freedom fighters up there. There's a lot of light up there. A lot of us, even that aren't there, are pushing light into the world. I have a lot of Canadian clients, so I'm helping accelerate their light in the space of it's not going to go over like in destitute. It
Yeah.
won't. It won't be able to. There's too much there. There's too many people up there. But for right now, that's what's happening. So I can't hold it. Like I'm like, and I'm not saying this from an ego perspective. Like I'm too pure. I'm too pure.
No,
Like,
no,
and
yeah, yeah.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
like,
Well, yeah, I guess what the comparison would be like, would you walk through a grease-filled corridor wearing an all-white suit if you didn't
yeah,
have to? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's gonna get all over you. Like, that's
yeah,
why, yeah, yeah. Okay, so probably the wrong time in the state of the world to ask these questions. Well, you mentioned because Canada is known for their, I mean, mass forests and like deep,
yeah.
deep and unfortunately, there's fires going on right now, and hopefully, everything can get settled with that. Prayers and positive thoughts for all that. Um, Urban legends, though. I'm
Mhm.
imagining there's quite a few that we might not have heard over here on this side of the border of like
Oh my
things that might
God.
live in the forest or like that kind of people may like. I would imagine that you might have heard some stories. That's
I'm like, oh my God, I probably didn't believe them. So I didn't drop in. And here's what I know now. Like everything that you see on Twilight happens, like it's real. Like that's what I'm gonna
Are
say.
you
Like,
telling me there's sparkly vampires in the forests
yeah.
of Canada?
Absolutely. And I'm gonna also tell you, if you ever watch the show Shadowhunters, that's all real
Yeah.
too.
Oh,
I love Shadowhunters.
that's a
Okay.
great
So like
show.
all of that is real. And it's like, and Harry Potter's real, all that's real. Like everything is real that way. But like, you probably heard of the Loch Ness monster up in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
lakes
yeah.
up in Canada. And than the Sasquatch and stuff, but I don't even know any others, unfortunately. I'm like,
Yeah.
shit, if you would have told me, I would have done research. You
I don't know. I was just like, well, I figured because the whole the spiritual kind of paranormal realm. I'm like, she might have
Yeah.
heard some stories as like a teenager. Like we went to the back 40 and we were drinking and we saw some kind of creature or something.
No, no, not at all.
Yeah, right.
We were just too worried. Like the forest I grew up by, we would go build forts in as a kid. And,
Nice.
like I grew up in the place of you come back home at sundown. Like that's what
Yeah,
you
that's
do.
how I grew up too.
Yeah.
For us it was when the sun touched the mountain was the
Yeah.
time that you needed to come home.
Come
Yeah.
home. Yeah. Yeah. And so like there was some guys, I guess, at one point in time that dropped some pornography in the forest. So we were like 8, 10 years old, finding all these like porn in the forest and like building forts with the porn and like,
Oh
good
my
times.
God! Oh my God! You just did not just say that. So I've talked about this. It's like when you're trying to tell kids or people of this generation like what it was like. You literally built forts around porn. You would
Yeah.
find porn. Yeah, people don't understand that. Yeah, we behind a liquor store they threw out a bunch of porn and we're like, oh my
Yeah.
God! And we built this big like we dug a hole and like we all crawled in this cavern like. And the
That was a
best
thing.
yeah, the best, and at that age, you don't understand what's going on. I just remember, I remember a guy wearing a tuxedo, and the girl was naked, and I
Yeah.
remember thinking, "Well, shit, I'm gonna have to go get me a tuxedo. I guess like that's the only way this is going down."
Well, there was one. So I was young enough to actually try some things with one of the neighbors. So I was like, okay, like it looks like this goes into here. What do you think this? And I like, because I was that girl, right? I'm a rebel.
Yeah,
Like I'm a rebel, and I'm
nice.
like, I push the boundaries. So obviously nothing worked because like we missed the key component of like a hard on, But like
You're like,
we
why doesn't yours look like his?
we tried it at least. I was like, I think this is how she's standing, was it like this? Like,
Yeah.
it was like, oh
Can
my
we get it
god.
for reference again? Come on. Yeah, yeah, the things you think of, but that's so hilarious. Yeah, because like, yeah, you did build forts around like porn that you would find. That's the best. That was a great childhood, right?
Like kids these days got no understanding, and just like we joke around, but like we had to get up to change the channel, and you had like
Oh,
9 channels on the dial at the TV at my house. Like you didn't
yeah.
have the channels, like and like they make fun of it all the time. I see a bunch of TikToks all the time about like you have 2 minutes with commercial, right,
Oh,
to
yeah.
go pee, to grab your snacks, and then you'd be like, it's back on, and you'd be yelling at
Oh,
your
yeah.
sibling.
I
Like
remember
that was
that the
life.
dial was so heavy too. It was boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
So funny. Like that's I like obviously I was born in the 80s. I'm like an 81 girl. So
nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
life was
I was
cool.
born in '76, so yeah, it's kind of the same. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
couple years difference there. Yeah, yeah, those the great times. But I don't know if you guys had it in Canada or not. In the States, on Labor Day, so you would get a 3-day weekend from school. Usually, like you start school right before Labor Day, and then that 3-day weekend, you'd be like, all right, cool. But nothing would be on TV other than Jerry Lewis telethon. It was like a telethon for muscular different whatever, but it would be
Dystrophy.
yeah, 3, yeah, easy for me to say. Uh, it would be like a 3-day event where he would stay up for the whole thing, and it was
Oh
like,
my
but there would
god.
be nothing else on TV. All 8 channels would be nothing but that. So you would have to go out and play, which was what you would do anyway. But yeah, no, that was great. Yeah,
Yeah.
great time staying out and man, things I would like things I did I would never let. My kids are grown now, but I would never let when they were little, like just riding their bike randomly for miles down in the city or something like.
Well, the world changed, and like the depth of the dark moved into the world. Like our
Yeah,
kids aren't safe on the streets any longer. Like it's just sad, really.
no, it
Unless you
really
build a
is.
tight niche community that pays attention, like it's just you can't. Like it's just crazy. It'll change. It'll
Yeah,
change. Like
I know.
we're in the battle of the light.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah, I needs
Mhm.
to soon too. I'm
Yeah.
real sensitive to human trafficking and crimes of that
Yeah.
nature. I don't know why. I just always like, yeah, just it's not right. I don't know why more
Yeah.
people don't see it that way, but yeah, it's just,
I
um,
agree.
yeah, and it takes a toll on me. And like, you just see the state of the world, and like, Man, something needs to give very, very soon because I mean these are people's moms, sisters, brothers, cousins. Like
Every
somebody loves them out there, no matter what.
Yeah, I totally no, I totally on point with you about that. Absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah,
that
it's
would
a
be
rule.
my if I'm going to run for president. Those are my three things: no human trafficking, it's wrong. Dogs should not drive cars. And we need to save some water. Those are my three issues. Like, I don't think anyone can disagree, right? Like, how do you
Dogs should
disagree with
not
that?
drive
Yeah,
cars.
they shouldn't. It's just.
Oh my God. You know what I would add in there with dogs? Like the animal abuse is what hurts my heart the most.
Oh yeah, I actually I don't know if you hear her snoring right now. I rescued a bulldog about a year ago, about 9, 10 months ago, and she's the best thing. Oh man, I love her. I was just out of
Yeah.
town for one night, and I was like, oh, is she gonna be okay? Oh my God, Rosie, Rosie, like, yeah,
Oh,
yeah, she's the best. And she, I think she was a kennel dog before I got her, and she was definitely abandoned, which I like still. That's why I think probably I didn't want to leave her overnight. She thought I left her or something, but
yeah.
yeah, but no, yeah, animal abuse is the worst. I mean, and they can't, like, they can't speak up for themselves. They can't.
No. And then they just keep going back because that's all they know. And
They're
I'm
so
like,
loyal.
it
You know.
hurts my heart. Like every time I can't watch any of the videos on it either. Like it just hurts my heart. And it's a challenge here in Costa Rica. There's a lot of dogs that live on the streets. And
Yeah,
like I've learned to like not be okay with it, but I've learned to like kind of be okay with it, like this is their lifestyle. I can't save them all. I can't. The
yeah,
rescues are full here. Like I literally cat that showed up in my place around 8 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago. She was pregnant. And I was like, oh
oh.
God, I'm gonna be in trouble. Right. And I like, right. And
Yeah,
so I started feeding her because she like, and I knew like, especially she's a baby, she needs some food. And to hunt at the weight she was at would be a harder thing. And so she ended up 2 weeks later. She was gone for about a day or two. And then I saw her coming back knowing she had the babies because you could tell by her belly.
yeah,
But she kept them for about 5 weeks out of the area where I was. And then all of a sudden, one day I opened the door and I was like, well, who are these people? And there's four
yeah,
cats with her. So they literally live on my property. I'm finding homes. One of them has been rehomed. I have three more finding homes for them because I want them to not have to live on the land.
yeah.
Because they like destroy shit in here, right? They're not litter box trained. And I don't like I
Oh,
live in a small place. Like I don't have the
yeah.
capacity to hold this right now. But I feed them all the time. They come in and play for a little bit throughout the day and eat and do their thing, and they're humanized. They get some cuddles
Yeah.
from me, they get it, but like,
They're still
yeah,
wild.
it's
Those are some wild cats.
oh
Costa
my, they're
Rica. Yeah,
climbing
yeah,
curtains, like they're everywhere, like they don't get it, right? They don't
yeah,
get it, and nor should they.
yeah,
So if somebody takes them on, they should be able to, well, they could condition them to be domestic or let them outside and just keep feeding them and bringing them in. I would probably litter box train them, but Mama is a spirit, man. The other day I heard something behind me and I was in the middle of a training and I wasn't teaching, which was good. And I put myself off camera and I go check and she's got an iguana in her mouth. And then I videotaped her and she's like strutting it along, bringing the dead iguana to the kittens. And I was
nice.
like, you better not get that shit all over this place. Like, 'cause imagine, right?
Oh, that would be a
Blood
mess.
and
Yeah. Oh God.
guts. And I never, like, she knew I saw it. And I went over to see her and she had the kittens on it. And I looked at her and I was like, I need to take this iguana from her. I go back in the house and I come back out a little bit later and she had hid it from me and I didn't see it again. So she
Oh.
knew. Oh, she knows. She's so connected to me that the second I was like, I need to find homes for the kids, for 3 days, they didn't come around. And I was like, where are the kittens? And it's like she hid them from me so that I couldn't find them
Oh,
homes.
that is. Oh
She
wow.
is so smart. She is smart. Yeah, she
That's
knows.
awesome. That's a special
Yeah.
connection. You know what? That's
Yeah.
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 That's way awesome. So we're running out of time. I was just looking. We're creeping in on the hour mark. Have we even plugged your business yet? Like, have we even talked about what you do?
It doesn't really matter. We kind of have a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
But like so everyone has a mission on earth. Every single person that's embodied in this earth in some human form has a reason that they're here. Every single person. And it doesn't have to be that you're speaking on a stage to 10,000 people or that you have to like write a book that does stuff. Like I was on a call earlier today with a client of mine and like her desire is to find out her mission. Her mission is to take people on trail walks in Montana up the mountain. That's her mission. And
Nice.
most people would be like, what the fuck? That's so small. Da, da, da. I'm like, no, do you understand what it is to actually connect in the mountain to your purity of self? Like the actual movement of that through your body to actually have stillness in your life, to be able to hear. That's a big deal, you know? But it
Yeah.
seems like it's a small thing, but that's her actual mission. It's not actually work related. Yeah, she'll probably make a bit of income from it, but she loves her job. And it's literally to go ground into Montana. That's her mission right now. And
Nice.
that's my job on the earth, is to help people align in their mission and then step fully and confidently in it, to have the courage to actually speak their truth and own their power. And I help them in multiple ways do that, through programs and through one-to-one offers or past life regression or Akashic records readings. And there's a lot of ways to play in my field on purpose, actually. So yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. I'm booking an appointment. We're gonna do. We're gonna. Yeah, and you're not like you're part of the show now. Just so you know. Like, yeah, this was a great. Like, I want you on a bunch of them if you have time. Like, I know you're busy, but
Yeah.
yeah. Like, yeah, we do a ton of a week, a ton of days. So yeah, anytime you want to jump on, really. Like, I this was awesome. I really appreciate you coming on. I had a blast.
I did too. I'm like, oh shit, we've been talking for 55 minutes.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
you
so
know?
I was like, yeah, and I do like a 10-minute intro to them and stuff too. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a long one, but hey, that's awesome, and it flowed really well. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, we talked a ton of stuff too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we were everywhere. And
yeah,
then
we yeah,
we're
no,
like,
we really were. Yeah, that's what I definitely want you on for a movie Monday, and then also like
yes.
we'll figure out like the readings and stuff too. I'll book an appointment, and I want to talk about that and have you back on afterwards after we do the reading and kind of talk about it and stuff if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I'd
yeah.
love I'd
So,
love to play. So that's what I call it, like playing in life. So everything I follow is just the pathway, right? So if you're
yeah,
like, this is what I'm being told, I'm like, I'm in. Whatever you want to do, let's go. Like that's how I operate in life. And it leads me to cool people, cool experiences, cool conversations. And like I
yeah.
said to you before we started, I'm like, I'm in for all of it. Wherever you want to go, let's go. And like as you can see, that's what I'm about. You
Yeah,
know?
no, yeah, and that's great. That's awesome. I guess it's your personality, right? You pivot, you just go with the flow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's how we
Yeah.
should all strive to be. And I wanted to say one thing you mentioned about the trail and the that person's purpose and the
Yeah.
silence. And I always try to stress it. I don't think we as people appreciate silence as much as we should.
Mm.
Like just today, I was sitting on the couch and a fish tank was going, and I was just like, oh man, this is a nice hum, like this is just
Yeah.
nice, like, and it was like a recharging moment, really. And that's what so guys out there, take your recharging moment, listen to the silence today. You'll thank me for it, definitely. Yeah, yeah, find
Well,
that
one of the
zen, right?
things, yeah, one of the things, Brian, I won't keep us long because I know
Oh yeah, no
you got
problem.
lots to maneuver through, but like the one thing I think we forget as humans is our breath. And it's free. It's in our bodies. We have to use it to be here in physical form, but it is a regulator. So while you're in your silence, if you just listen to your breathing, even, it is so powerful. So powerful.
Yeah, no, and you hit the nail right on the head. I'm convinced I have high blood pressure because I don't breathe enough. Like
Yeah.
I do short breaths, and I'm like I catch myself constantly and try to retrain myself. But yeah, no, yeah, breathing, man, it solves everything. Microaggressions, guys. If anyone knows about microaggressions, it's me. And I'm telling you, breathing really helps with
Oh,
those. Really
yeah.
helps with those.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can imagine.
yeah. Well, tell us where we can find you. I'm going to put everything in the link below, but tell us where we can find you and how we can connect with you.
Yeah, like I jam out on Instagram. That's my place to like hold space on. So I have a bold content, meaning I swear all the time in my posts, and I just
Awesome.
own it and talk truth. So if you're into that, come follow me there. And I'm always in my DMs. So like if you love this and you want to say something to me about it or whatever, like just I want to hear about it. Like if you took something from this too, like let me know. I love when we get to circulate energy in the world and all of us move together in a certain rhythm. And yeah, so come find me on Instagram. That's where I hang out.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys, all the links will be down below. Please give it up for Colleen. All right, we'll see you guys. We'll be right back.